All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders in tonight's video. This is a 2-2 team, all things considered. And of course, the Raiders hit national football media headlines the entire week and still are and probably still will be for the foreseeable future because Davante Adams, I guess on Monday, requested a trade. He has not been traded yet, but according to most reporters or journalists or what have you, it seems like he's good as gone. And now the Raiders just kind of have to deal with this distraction, I guess it is, until the ultimate decision happens. It's weird because, like, for me, the reason this channel exists is because of Davante Adams. But at this point in time, like, if you're not with it, if you're not with this football team, if you're not with this franchise, you're not with the present, you're not with this future. There's been way too many drops from Davante Adams. He seems hesitant to run block. Apparently, as we know, Antonio Pierce, the head coach, called out players a couple of weeks ago. I guess it literally appears like Davante Adams was one of those names called, which is kind of surprising. I have a little bit of a different view of this Raiders team. A lot of people are seeing this Davante Adams trade request. And by the way, I don't mean Raiders fans in any way, shape, or form. I'm talking about, like, if you're watching ESPN, if you're watching FS1, or if you're reading The Athletic, you're reading the Bleacher Report, it just appears like this is like just the Raiders being the Raiders. And I don't really view it that way. Obviously, we all know Davante Adams, Derek Carr, that was a whole thing. And I don't even really want to talk about this. And we just did for 2 minutes. So before we get any further into tonight's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily Raiders and NFL content. Try and get this video to 100 likes, folks. That would mean the absolute world to me. I was watching a video from Sanjeet, and he was talking about a really good point. Honestly, like, Davante Adams is missing the game in less than 48 hours for the Raiders. Second straight game, and it really just appears like he's played his last snap for this team. And I remember when Sanjeet brought this up, Tom Brady talking about kind of how much of a stressor it was having Randy Moss on his football team. Like, all right, I have to feed this guy the football. I have to do it every week. I have to do it a lot. I have to do it consistently. Otherwise, we might have some problems. In the last, I would say, like, and this is a loose number, but you can think of a couple that come to your mind when I say this. Stephon Diggs being the most recent. Wide receivers, star wide receivers, seem to be, like, so dramatic. And I'm not necessarily calling out Davante Adams, but what I will say for my Raiders OGs watching this video is, if you're not with it, if you're not with this coach, if you're not with this scheme, if you're not with this organization, you can go kick rocks. So maybe I'm being a little bit too much, but let's get back into the main focus of this video. I was reading a great article from Vic Tafur over on The Athletic, and he was pinpointing a lot of great things. The Raiders, folks, all things considered, are 2-2. And you got a big-time matchup this upcoming Sunday, a couple of days from now, a road matchup against the Denver Broncos. And the reason I bring this up is not only is it a divisional opponent, but this is a really good defense. And this defense currently for the Raiders has not been the most strongest of suits like we thought it was heading into this season. Patrick Graham, the Raiders defense, is allowing 24.3 points per game. That's 24th in the NFL. 5.6 yards per play. That, once again, is 24th in the NFL. They've been decent statistically against the pass. They're holding opponents to 6.9 yards per attempt, which is 13th in the NFL. But they've been god-awful, like you guys have seen, against the run, surrendering 5.1 yards per rush, which is 30th in the NFL. Now, obviously, as Raiders fans know, most of this, in my opinion, has to do with injuries. Malcolm Koonce tore his ACL. I mean, like, literally, not being a biased Raiders fan, but, like, literally one of the most inconvenient injuries of the entire season. If you followed along Malcolm Koonce's last season or even his career. Marcus Epps, the safety, done for the season. Week 3, torn ACL. Perfect. Defensive end, Max Crosby, dealing with a high ankle sprain. Divine Diablo, Double D as we call him on this channel, he's been out since week 2 with an oblique injury. So you have 4 starters banged up / done for the entire season. Yeah, the defense is going to struggle. We'll get to Jacorian Bennett if we have time, but the dude's been an absolute stud. Jack Jones got benched last week. You guys probably know this story here. I love Jack Jones, and I still love a ton Antonio Pierce, especially the way he handled the debacle, I should say, I said that wrong, against the Carolina Panthers a couple of weeks ago. Now, I'm a little bit biased. I think Gardner Minshew is a good quarterback. I don't think he's the quarterback for the Raiders. His numbers technically so far have been relatively solid. He's completed actually 70.7% of his passes. That's sixth in the NFL. 877 yards. That's tied for 14th in the NFL. 3 touchdowns, only tied for 24th. And 3 interceptions, which is borderline top 10 in the National Football League. But the effectiveness and the efficiency, it just hasn't been there. There's been no rhythm. Either Gardner holds the ball too long, or receivers, tight ends, guys just aren't getting open. The accuracy on like middle of the pack passes just haven't really been there. He's averaged just 7.1 yards per attempt, which is actually 18th in the NFL. 6.5 air yards per attempt, 18th in the NFL. Only 17.9% of his passes have traveled 15 or more air yards, which is 16th in the NFL. So it's not the worst in the NFL, but it's not really helping the Raiders out. And granted, the run game has just not been great, which mainly, in my opinion, had to do with the offensive line health. So the Raiders last week, in week 4 against the Cleveland Browns, ran for a season high 152 yards. Now, you had a couple of jet sweeps. You had some receivers, Brock Bowers. You had a couple of guys not named Alexander Mattison or Zamir White, who Zamir White, by the way, is missing this upcoming Sunday's game. Getsy preached patience the entire first month of the season, and we did see a lot from game planning or scheming or whatever you want to call it this past Sunday against the Cleveland Browns. 20-16 win. Obviously, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't sexy. But all things considered, the way the Raiders season has gone, either due to injuries or outside BS like Davante Adams, I'm going to take a 2-2 start. And the Raiders have an important divisional matchup, and then you got the Steelers at home. You got the Rams on the road. You come home for the Kansas City Chiefs. Then you hit the road for the Cincinnati Bengals, and then you got your bye week. So it's really anyone's guess right now. But I got to just say, I really like the way Antonio Pierce has just kind of commanded this locker room. He's got this no BS mentality. Whether you're Davante Adams or the 53rd man on the roster, you're treated the same way based on how you are, right? So I don't really, I'm not an insider. I'm not a reporter. I'm not a journalist. I'm not affiliated with the Raiders. So I don't know what the hell's going on with Davante. But like a lot of reports are saying, he might have played his last snap as a Raider. And we'll deal with that when it comes, but I just want to say, and I know a lot of fellow Raiders fans agree with this sentiment, it really isn't the end of the world. Really isn't. All right? Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily Raiders and NFL content. But Raiders fans especially, give me a game prediction for Week 5 against the Denver Broncos down below. Peace.